Welcome to the Sportswagers.ca podcast with Brian Sherwood Steinberg and Matthew Finney.
Welcome to the Sportswagers.ca podcast. I'm the man behind the board, Matthew Finney. Of course, joined this week and every week by Brian Sherwood Steinberg. All those great free daily write-ups over on Sportswagers.ca. Good day, Brian. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Matt. Getting ready for, boy, can you believe that we're almost at the end of the college football season.
No, it's ridiculous. I remember us talking all summer how we had, vacation was over and off we go and, it's going to be on like Donkey Kong. And now the freaking college season's only a few weeks away from being over. Yeah,
I mean, you got like the bowl season, but there's only a couple of weeks left in the regular season. So teams have played 9 games already, 8 or 9 games, and they play 11, and it's just about over. It seems like it just started. It seems like we're just getting into it. Time goes by so fast. Same with the NHL. We're already a month into the season, and teams are taking shape. And it's really a great year in the NHL because parity has never been better. There's a lot of surprises this year, like Vancouver and New Jersey, who really weren't supposed to be competitive, and maybe Detroit to a lesser extent. But they're all competitive, and some of the top teams like Nashville, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Edmonton, Toronto, Washington, they're struggling big time. Anaheim, so there's a whole different landscape in the NHL, and that provides opportunity, and when we talk about handicapping, Matt, the NHL, there's so many different ways to approach it, I mean, we use a very similar approach to all sports. We're looking for value. We're looking for underpriced underdogs, short price favorites. We were playing that -1.5 on the underdog, but I find that we're going to use those. I mean, those are tough, right? I mean, that's why they pay so well. When you got a tie game, you cannot win that. When the game goes into overtime, you cannot win that bet. And then any game that's decided by 1 goal, you can't win either. And I know they pull their goalie and all that, which gives you an opportunity. But any game that's tied, late, you can't win that bet, or it goes into overtime. And that takes away probably about 25% of your bets with no chance of winning. So we kind of put that on the back burner. We'll use it from time to time. We will use it on parlays. And in fact, in this podcast, we'll go over some combining sports and, mixing sports and betting parlays so that you're lined up well for Sunday. We'll actually even do our bets. But as far as NHL handicapping goes, I've said it 100 times that hockey is the most luck-driven sport of them all. When you watch a football game and a team gets dominated, that team that gets dominated loses 95 to 99% of the time, right? Very rarely do you see a team get dominated in football and they win. It happens, but it's rare. Same with basketball. A team gets dominated and they lose the game, and I mean, same with baseball. I mean, there's, baseball domination is a team that gets out hit like 15-4 or something, and very rare do you see those teams win also. So, but in hockey, every single night, you can take a slate, when there's a slate of 4 games or more, maybe even 3 games or more, there's always 1 or 2 teams that get absolutely dominated and win because it is the most luck-driven sport. Maybe it's even more. I mean, I don't have the percentages, but I watch a lot of hockey, and so do you, and you can go over it every single night. Team gets, like even Toronto, San Jose the other night. The final score was 3-2. The game was 2-1 late. At one point, the Maple Leafs, I mean, it looked like the ice was tilted. Like, it looked like, I mean, it was one of the most dominating performances I've seen in a long time. The Leafs could not get out of their own zone, and they actually had a chance to win that game. That doesn't happen in football, where a team cannot move 2 yards, and they have 6 first downs the whole game. It doesn't happen often in football. In hockey, it happens all the time. So really our approach in hockey, we want to look for teams that have great puck possession numbers. I mean, that's the goal in hockey, to have the puck. The goal in football is to move the chains, move downfield, and try and score a touchdown. The goal in hockey is to control the puck, move it out, get it into the offensive zone, and create chances. And that's how you dominate, right? Well, the teams that have great puck possession numbers dominate games. Like the other day, we had Montreal over Ottawa. And if you look at the analytics, Ottawa is one of the worst possession teams in the league this year, and they got dominated and they lost 8-3. And Montreal is one of the best puck possession teams in the NHL. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to win, but if you start applying stuff like, one team has beaten another team 4 times in a row, or 6 of the last 7, or one goaltender owns another, that stuff is all bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. You really have to look at you can handicap any way you want. If you want to use current form, one team is hot, they won 6 out of 7, and one team has lost 5 out of 7, and the team that's won 6 out of 7 is a dog, go ahead. You may win that bet, but it's really not the prudent way to look at hockey games, right? All those stats that you can see, standings, scores, they're all very, very misleading. Really what is relevant in hockey and football are the under-the-hood numbers. Like even in football, you want to look at teams that have a strong yards per play, average, right? You want a team that has a strong time of possession edge. Those numbers that you don't see in all the box scores, right? The under the hood. And I know you're really good at looking at that stuff, so that stuff is really the important things in handicapping. All this other stuff, right? I mean, Vegas has provided, spreadsheets on that stuff for years. They'll give you all the information you want. It doesn't matter. Hockey, it really is the most luck-driven sport, You can see you'll always see stuff like this in hockey. A team is 0-18 on the power play in their last 3 games or 4 games. And then they'll go for a stretch where they're 6 out of 18, right? Why? Why are they hot and cold? There's no consistency in power play rankings, penalty kill rankings. Why? Because every single team plays it the same way. When you're penalty killing, you play it the same way. Every team makes that box, and some are a little more aggressive than others, but at the end of the day, the strategy is the same for every single team in hockey when they're killing the penalty, keep the team to the outside, play the 4-corner box, and dump the puck down. And power play is exactly the same for every team. Dump the puck in or bring it in. Now they started doing this kind of back pass to the defenseman to bring it in, which is sort of a new strategy. Well, I shouldn't say new, but a lot of teams are employing that now. But really, at the end of the day, they bring it in, they get it back to the point, they get a man in front, and they blast away, and they're looking to screen or deflect the puck, and sometimes it's going to go in. And so it's no different for any team. So when a team is going cold on the power play, it's not because their power play is bad. It's just because they're not getting the luck. When the power play is scoring a lot and it's hot, it's only because they're getting the bounces. It's got nothing to do with, how they're setting up or how well they're doing. But all these guys on TV are talking about that stuff, Oh, they got to improve their power play. Oh, they got to improve the penalty kill. I mean, they need something to talk about, right? When you're handicapping that stuff, a team on the power play, like their record, their percentage on the power play over the last 10 games or 5 games, it means garbage. Actually, if it's low, right, you're probably in for a correction, because every team is the same, so you're probably better off looking at it from the other viewpoint. A cold power play is going to get hot. You take a team like Montreal or Chicago, and they're 0-18 on the power play in the last 10 games or 6 games or whatever. That team is going to get hot. Their power play is going to heat up because they're going to eventually start to get the bounces, so things even out over time. And it's really a strong way, to look under the hood, whether it's baseball, football, or hockey, to do your handicapping, as opposed to, looking at, stats or trends, and trends, they drive me nuts, because they're just so irrelevant. They mean absolutely nothing. I saw one the other day, No, it doesn't even matter. You all know what I'm talking about. The trends are useless. They're really useless information. They mean absolutely nothing. And if you base your decisions on that, right? Like you take Dallas and Washington. Dallas had won the last 4 straight in Washington, or 6 of the last 7 in Washington. That's not why they beat Washington last week. That had nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing. They beat Washington because they were the better team that day, and probably overall they're the better team. But because they've won 6 in a row or whatever it is, that's not why they won the game. So you can use that, and you may win the game, but that's not the reason why you won the game.
Well, you got teams like Montreal, like all season we've stuck with them because of those under the hood numbers. And you've got like the top 3, possession teams, Corsi 4 percentage right now are Edmonton, Carolina, and Montreal. None of those teams are anywhere near the top of the standings, where a team like Columbus, who is in 4th, is. And you're going to see a correction coming. Columbus is getting the results. Columbus is getting, the wins for the effort, the goals for the effort that they're putting in right now. And those other top 3 teams just aren't.
Yeah, exactly. And there is a correction coming, and we'll stick with that. We'll stick with playing those teams. Montreal is playing so good. They just don't have the wins. Same with Edmonton. Edmonton, I think they went 10-3, 7-1 or something in October. There's a correction coming there for sure. And there's a bunch of other teams like that as well. Of course, with hockey, goaltending is a big, 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 big factor, in the outcome, right? You've got to have good goaltending or you cannot win consistently. I'm very hesitant to get behind these weak goaltenders. I like Philadelphia over Chicago. I don't like Brian Elliott. He's way past his prime. I have a tough time getting behind Philadelphia. When Neighbors is in that, I don't mind. But I can't get behind them when Elliott's in goal. So that plays a part in my handicapping too. I have a real hard time getting behind these weak goalies. Actually, we should do a ranking of the goalies. Anyone can look it up, like in terms of save percentage. But even a guy like Pekka Rinne, I got a tough time getting behind him too. And there's a bunch of other, goalies that it's just hard to get behind them because you let in those soft goals and it's just deflating, and it could be avoided, like handicapping a game and picking a weak goaltending. There's other games to choose from. You don't have to, there's enough live dogs on there that have good goaltending, like New Jersey, Winnipeg, Vancouver this year. Jimmy Howard's playing really good for Detroit this year. It's still early and things can change in a hurry. Like Howard looked like, he was on the way out, but he's rebounded. So that plays a big part too.
We see Carey Price struggling, and we joked the other night, like with Montreal, that they made the goaltending change, and there was no reaction to that. And look at the guy, that out in front, they played much better in front of just somebody else. It changes the whole atmosphere for the team, really. Not that they don't think Carey Price is great or they don't want to rally around him, but just some fresh blood in the net just gives them something to play off of.
Yeah, and there's even some backup goaltenders that I trust more than the number ones. We saw that with Tampa Bay, when Ben Bishop was the number 1 and Vasilevsky was the number 2. We were always excited when Vasilevsky was in net because we knew he was better than Bishop, right? Well, you got the same thing in Ottawa this year. Mike Condon is the number 2 and Craig Anderson's the number 1. I trust Condon. Anderson in his day was great. He was great last year in a lot of games, but you started to see some flaws, in his game. These guys slowed down. No one's immune to Father Time. And Anderson is slowing down. And in my book, he's the second best goalie on that team. So you got that. Same with Columbus, with Korpisalo and Bob Broski. Even though Bob Broski's having a good year, I don't really trust him either. I don't like him that much. I love Korpisalo. I think he's tremendous. So you got some good number 2s, and Philadelphia, 100%, Neighbors is better than Elliott. But Elliott signed a big contract, and he's going to play more, and he's the number 1 guy. So when Philly's got Neighbors in net, you got, because they're labeled the number 2, you get a better price on those guys. Neighbors and Condon and Corpusalo, and I'm sure there's a couple other ones I'm missing. Even McElhaney even though Anderson's been pretty good this year for the Leafs, I really like McElhaney. For Boston, Tuukka Rask, he's showing signs. He was showing signs last year. This year, he, doesn't look much better. He's struggling. Kodubin, who came in when he was out, looks really good. So there's a lot of number 2s where you're going to get a decent price just because they're number 2. And you got like Florida, to me, is a great team. If they had goaltending, to me, they'd be one of the, top 7 or 8 teams in the league. But they got Reimer, and Luongo's injured, and he's no good anyway. But Reimer is shaky, and they went out and they picked up Niemi from Pittsburgh, who, they put on waivers. So their goaltending situation is really, I like Florida. I want to get behind them. They're a dangerous, dangerous team. But I got a tough time getting behind them with Reimer or Niemi. I just wouldn't bet Niemi. He's just that bad. So, goaltending plays a big role, and it plays a big role in our handicapping every year.
Well, those weak, high-priced goaltenders have to be a target. We've seen a team like Winnipeg. They bring in Steve Mason. He was the shits, the first few times they put him out there. And they've cut bait pretty much. Hellebuck is the guy, and it seems to be that's where they're rolling. And now the Jets are a force to be reckoned with right now.
Oh, definitely. We've always supported the talent on that team. We just never really supported Paul Maurice's decision or goaltending decisions. But yeah, Hellebuck looks like the guy. He's been real sharp, and Winnipeg has become a very dangerous team all of a sudden.
We were talking about bad ownership just on the phone yesterday. You want teams that spend money and don't meddle. And, the Jets did spend money, and it doesn't seem to work out. But it'd be easy for the owners to make the call and say, you're putting this guy in the net. It makes you sick to pay a guy so much money and have him sit there and work the gate. But it seems to be that they're hands off, and Maurice is at least a smart enough guy to realize that you got to go with the hot goaltender. So
yeah, let's just hope that if Hellebuck if he has a couple of bad games, they stick with him.
Yeah, that'll be the key. Yeah,
he's been known to switch gears real quick, right? So let's just hope that they stick with him, even if he has a couple of bad games. But yeah, listen, Steve Mason, they overpaid. Philadelphia overpaid Brian Elliott. You got these desperate teams, that are searching for a number 1, and they spend too much, and they're kind of stuck, And if I was an owner, put yourself in the owner's shoes. You're paying some guy $800,000 a week. It irks you to no end to have him sit on the bench and collect that type of money. You want them to earn it. It's like baseball pitchers, too. You see them being thrown out there every 5th day, and the owner would rather lose the game than pay this guy $800,000 to sit on the bench all year, or to, pitch an inning a week, to come in relief and pitch a couple of innings.
The old James Shields syndrome. They love it. You gotta throw him out there. You're paying him way too much money.
Oh, yeah. So, again, I just want to go back to handicapping hockey. All that stuff is more valuable than the statistics, So really keep that in mind. And with that, Matt, I think we are going to segue into betting, this coming weekend.
We got 15, 20, maybe 25 minutes to get our bets in here, man. We got to get on it.
Yeah, so what we do, Matt and I, we talk just about every day, and we throw in our bets. We, aside from our flat bets. So let me just put that out there right now. All the games that I put on my website, I bet flat every single day. What I also do is I make parlays. And these parlays are, I really like them. We've done well with them, and they're a great way to bet. I did a baseball parlay tutorial, and what we're going to do now is we're going to mix sports to set us up for Sunday, so that on Sunday when NFL football rolls around, we're going to be in a position where on 2 or 3 games we have a chance to make a really good pay. So to get started, we are going to I'm going to open up Pinnacle. You can do this on Bet365, but right now I'm going to do it on Pinnacle because they have let's go on 365, okay, Matt?
Sounds good. Already there.
Okay, so I'm going to take the Sharks tonight, -1.5.
Okay.
Plus 210. This is on Bet365. And then football on Sunday, I'm going to take the 49ers are 1.5 points. They're plus 1.5. We're going to go football, and we're going to go to the alternative point spread on this game. So let's just find Frisco here. Okay, and we're going to play Frisco. How about minus 4.5? Now let's go minus 3.5, okay, plus 170. Okay?
Yep.
So this is what we're doing. We're playing San Jose tonight on to San Fran on the alternative point spread on Sunday, minus 3.5 plus 170. We could play them on the regular line at plus 110, but we're going to juice it up and play them 3.5 because we like them that much. And then we're going to put them on with some college football games. So we're going to go to college foot. So our wheel is going to be San Jose minus 1.5 onto San Francisco minus 3.5. And then we're going to play UCLA plus 210 on Friday night. And that's a 3-team parlay that pays 25-1. Just under 25-1.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay, place bet. Now we're going to retain selections. And we're just going to remove UCLA. So we're going to have San Jose onto San Francisco. And then we're going to add another college game. We are going to go K-State. That would be number 379 plus $1.30 against Texas Tech. And that's a 3-team parlay that pays 18, just over 18-1. And we're going to retain selections. We're going to remove K-State. And we're going to put in Army against Air Force plus 210.
That 6.5 too is just a number we love to play. Those money line bets on those 6.5s are so nice because you take it back just a little more than 2-1. So they really juice them up on an add-on. So
yeah, so 6.5 again. That's an underdog number. We love that number. It's less than one score, which suggests it's going to be a close game, and our underdog is going to have a really good chance to win the game outright. So that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to have these college games that are 6.5 up on my website. 6.5s are automatics for us. We just bet them to win outright, whether we like them or not. Okay, so we've got 3 parlays with the Sharks minus 1.5 onto the 49ers minus 3.5. Okay, so if the Sharkies win, there's a really good chance that we will be live for San Francisco minus 3.5 on Sunday. Okay, so now we're going to remove San Jose, and we're going to go into hockey again for tonight's games, and we're going to go alternative puck line, and we're going to take New Jersey minus 1.5 plus 290. Now again, we could take Jersey plus 109 or whatever it is right now, and I did. I bet New Jersey flat, but these are small parlays. You know, personally, I bet these parlays for about $10 a piece, and they're paying 25 and 30-1 or 20-1. They're just great bets. You know, so
yeah, even if you're used to paying like $2, $3, $4 tickets on Sports Select or something at the milk store, like that's just fine too on something like this. Like you're getting way better odds, you have way more options, you can mix sports, you can go point spreads, you can go money lines, and you're just taking back just so much more. So even if that's kind of your habit is just to bet really small, they're still beneficial for that too. So
yeah, you can make $2 bets. Yeah. Exactly. You're paying 30-1.
Bet365 will let you make a 50-cent bet if you want to, or a quarter bet if you want to. Like if you wanted to have 10 tickets in a night, but only bet, your $3 or something. If that's what you do is bet $3 every day, you can do that too. No big deal. So really, doesn't matter what your budget is. You can make it work. So
absolutely. Okay, so now we got. So we're going to keep San Fran on there. We got the Devils minus 1.5 onto San Fran minus 3.5, and now we're going to go back to college football game lines, and we're going to bet
Southern Miss on the road at Tennessee 361 plus 6.5, 210.
Perfect. So that's going to be Southern Miss, the Devils, and San Francisco. That's a 3-team parlay that pays over 31-1. Going to make that bet. Retain selections. Remove Southern Miss. You can go alternate point spread in this too. So why don't we do that, Matt? So we're going to go football, college, alternate point spread, and we're going to go. Let's go Michigan. I think they're playing at night. They're playing Minnesota.
Yeah, you got to scroll almost all the way to the bottom. I think they're about 5 from the bottom there. So
I had it and then I lost it. There we are. Okay, so they're what are they? A 15-point favorite, right? We're going to lay, let's lay 20.5 there at plus 175 with Michigan, okay?
Nice, almost 28 to 1.
Yeah, that ticket pays 28 to 1, 3-team parlay. It would be the Devils, Michigan, and San Fran. Okay, and then we're going to remove Michigan, retain selections, remove Michigan, and we will, how about going to Wisconsin at Indiana? Okay, let's take Indiana. Let's take Indiana plus 4.5, okay?
Okay, man, they don't even let you lay any points with Indiana in that game.
We'll take Indiana plus 4.5 at 245. That ticket pays 35 to 1. These are, I mean, they're shots, right? You know, but here's where you bet small, you mix sports, and you hopefully, you know, get lucky and hit a couple of them, and you're in position for Sunday or whatever you want. I mean, you can do it all in one night too, okay? All right, so we got that. I really want to be set up for Frisco this weekend. So if I lose all these bets tonight, which is possible, I will come back again tomorrow and do the same thing with Frisco. I want to be set up for Sunday. So let's go one more time. Retain selections. We're going to remove the Devils. We're going to remove Indiana. Let's go basketball, NBA. See if we can find a nice home dog tonight. How about, what do we got here, Matt?
Maybe the Knicks. They're 5.5. That's about it, though. Everything else is home chalk.
Yeah, home chalk, eh? Well, I can go, why don't we throw in the Raptors at plus 105? Or you want to find something else? How about the Magic, plus 1.25 against the Grizzlies? I like the way the Magic are playing, actually. So let's go with them, okay? So we got San Fran onto Orlando, and then we'll go hockey, and we will play the Leafs minus 1.5 plus 2.25. Retain selections, remove the Leafs. Let's go the Flyers on the alternate, minus 1.5 plus 3.25. We'll retain selections, remove the Flyers, and we'll go the Penguins. You want to go the Penguins or you want to go the Oilers? Let's go Oilers.
Yeah, let's go Oilers, baby.
Minus 1.5 plus 250.
There you go.
And that pays 20 to 1. So it's Magic, Oilers, minus 1.5, and San Fran minus 3.5. So we got about 9 bets working onto San Fran minus 3.5. I'm going to need either Orlando to win tonight, the Sharks minus 1.5 to win tonight, and what was the other one? New Jersey minus 1.5 to win tonight. And I should be in position to, if one of those 3 wins, I should have some live tickets onto San Francisco. You know, that's my key game, San Francisco on Sunday, and that's our key game. And we're going to set up. We're going to do that with a couple other games. I just wanted to show you an alternative way to bet parlays that hold tremendous value, you know, where you can set up at really small, you know, to set up for some big payouts on Sunday, and then you can sit back and you know, watch football on Sunday with a chance to catch some really nice tickets. Another good thing about playing this way is if you do have some live tickets, you have a great chance to play in-game. And, you know, if your team takes the lead, you can buy some back. So it opens up some other options, too, when you have one game left, right? Usually when you bet a 3-game parlay, or most people, they have it all going at the same time or the same day, right? This way, you know, we're spread out over 3 days or over a few days, whereas the final game on our ticket is a single game. And that opens up options for live game betting to come back on the other side and cash out for a really nice profit, or buy back the other team so that you're free rolling. So many other options. So it's really a fun way to play. You know, you bet small, chance to win big, and we've hit a ton of tickets like this. So it's great. And if you're not sure about how to do it, you can email me or get in touch with me on Twitter, and I'll send you the link to our baseball parlay tutorial, and it's very much along those same lines. In fact, it is along those same lines, so you can get in touch with me at any time.
Follow Brian on Twitter, of course, at Sportswagers3. You can email him through the website, Sportswagers.ca. Brian, you covered a lot. We got some NHL handicapping process. We got how we put our moneyline parlays in, lots of advantages to playing, of course. those money line dogs, real true odds. You can play over the course of multiple days, bet small, win big, lots of benefits. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
No, that's it, Matt.
All right, sounds good. For Brian Sherwood Steinberg, I'm Matthew Finney. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Sportswagers.ca podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe. For free daily picks, visit Sportswagers.ca.